All right, we'll get started. Hello, everyone. Mortar Board collegiate leaders, advisors, national leaders, and alumni, welcome to the 2004 Special National Conference. I am National President Cassandra Lucas, and I'm thrilled to be the presiding officer for this Special National Conference. Today, we have a great agenda that will include a little bit of business and a lot of fun, getting to know other collegiate leaders and alumni and members from around the country. Our goal is to help empower each chapter leader here to end the year strong, get tips and practices for making a successful spring semester, and network with, learn from other Mortar Board members along the way. It's so great to be here together again. Welcome. Our first order of business is to share a bit of the background and purpose of this Special National Conference. This will allow us to get settled and allow any latecomers to join the meeting. If you've not already done so, please put your name, position, and chapter in the chat so that we can welcome members from all across the country here tonight. Please also go ahead so we can get to know each other a little bit better and rename yourself on Zoom with your name, pronouns, chapter name, and position. The first time Mortar Board conducted a special virtual national conference was in April of 2012. This was a successful meeting for our collegiate members to come together between summer conferences and to kickstart the spring semester. We were the first National Honor Society in the US to conduct such an ambitious program virtually. That first meeting was completely by phone. I remember the early special national conferences well as a section coordinator, having 200 Mortar Boards on a telephone conference call line without video. I'm grateful today for Zoom and encourage each of you to turn on your cameras and engage fully in today's programming. We have found that our Special National Conference has been incredibly valuable because it allows chapters to check in with each other, exchange ideas, and get psyched for the final push of the Mortar Board year. So we thank you for being here and invite you to be active participants for the next 90 minutes. Now on to our official business. I now convene the Special National Conference of Mortar Board National College Senior Society. As an organization, we have always been on the cutting edge of change and committed to ensuring that you, our collegiate members, have the ultimate voice in governing and leading our society into the future. The Special National Conference is one of the most important opportunities for you to exercise that right as our governing body. So we hope that the program we've put together for you is both engaging and meaningful. Now, I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Kirsten Fox, our Executive Director of Mortar Board, for some introductions and instructions.
Thank you, Cass, and hello, and welcome to the Special National Conference. It is nice to see some familiar names and faces on the screen. Today, we have members from 83 campuses, ranging from Georgia to Hawaii, California to Vermont, Texas to North Dakota. We are also joined by many Mortar Board constituents. As we introduce various groups of national leaders, please let us know you're here by putting your name, role, and institution that you were initiated into the chat. I want to start by welcoming members of our National Council. Later this evening, you'll be voting on candidates for 3 positions for National Council. Welcome also to members of the Board of Trustees. Our Mortar Board National Foundation are here, and we are so excited to have you tonight as well. Please also welcome our section coordinators, who many of you know. Our SCs work with our chapters in each of our 6 regions from across the country as the liaison to the national office. You'll be meeting with your section coordinators here in just a few moments. National leaders, thank you for joining us and for all the work that you do as volunteers to support our great society. Will you please take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat and share your name, position, and institution where you are initiated. We are also joined by several alumni members who are here, some of whom are slated for national leadership positions, others who serve on national committees, and others who are here just to support our collegiate members and get an update of what's happening in Mortar Board. In addition, we have several chapter advisors here today. Chapter advisors are the backbone of our chapters. I thank you for all your support at the local level. We are thrilled to have you joining us tonight for Special National Conference. Alumni and advisors, I invite you to introduce yourselves in the chat at this time as well. I'm thrilled to introduce our team in the national office. Our team has worked so hard to make tonight happen, and their hard work and efforts behind the scenes make all of our events, like today's special national conference, a success. We are located in the Central Ohio region as a national office, and many of our employees, but not all, are also located in Central Ohio. Joining us from the Columbus region are team members Kara Lisenby, our Director of Outreach and Engagement, Ben Flocks, our Membership and Operations Manager, Liz Cook, our Philanthropy Coordinator, and Julia Scharf, our Social Media and Digital Content Creator. But just like our collegiate chapters, our national office team is also spread coast to coast. Lexi Beer is our coordinator for special projects and events, and she's located in sunny Southern California. And then Trish Maxwell, our director of collegiate success, and who surely all of our collegiate members and advisors know, is joining us from upstate New York. You'll see this team putting prompts in the chat, sharing screens, answering questions, and helping to present. Can we practice using our emojis in Zoom, our hearts, our smiley faces, our thumbs up, our celebrations to give the national office team the recognition they deserve? And finally, I'd like to welcome our most important entity, our collegiate members, as you are the foundation of our society. Thank you all for taking time out of your Sunday evening, maybe a student organization meeting, perhaps for studies, perhaps just watching football or streaming something on television. But I promise it will be well worth your time. And just a reminder, if you joined us a little late, in your Zoom box, you can rename yourself with your name, pronouns, and university. And again, to take official role of collegiate members in attendance, we're asking you to write your name and chapter in the chat. On to a few other housekeeping notes. As you can tell, we are recording this meeting. We will share this recording link with you so you can further share it with all your chapters. We will use the chat feature, as we already have, as a way to participate throughout the course of tonight's business. In addition, you can also request to speak. To do this, please use the raising your hand icon that is next to your name. After one of our presiding officers calls on you, we would ask you to please state your name, first name and last name, and institution. We really encourage participation, so please don't be shy. If you need any technical support or have any questions, again, you can use the chat feature. You can direct chat any member of the national office team. We all have co-hosts next to our name if you search kind of the chat feature to make us easily identifiable so you can reach out to us. All right, moving on to tonight's agenda. First, in tonight's agenda, we will divide into breakout rooms by region to get to know each other a little better and start the conversation flowing. We want to use this time to talk about the important and distinctive mortarboard tradition of tapping. Second, we will have updates from our governance committee, who will share our proposed amendments to the national bylaws. The nominations committee will then introduce our slate of candidates for the National Council. You will have a chance to hear from each candidate and then ask some questions. Next, we will move back into our regions to talk about campus recognition programs. We will reconvene to talk about national updates and what you can expect later this spring. And finally, our national president, Dr. Cassandra Lucas, will leave us with an exciting charge for the remainder of the academic year. Voting on the proposed amendments and the candidates for National Council will open at the end of meeting. So more details will be shared later, but you'll have a chance to start voting right before we close out the meeting. At this time, it's my pleasure to yield the floor to Trish Maxwell, our Director of Collegiate Success, to explain our first topic and introduce its facilitators. Trish?
Thanks, Kirsten. One of the oldest and most unique traditions of Mortarboard is the tapping of our members. Our chapters across the country have adapted this tradition to fit both their creativity and their campuses. When you talk to Mortarboards, regardless of when they're tapped, they remember where and how. We want to ensure this stays a tradition and help give you ideas for making it best fit your campus. Last year at Special National Conference, we discussed public tapping, but since most of us weren't here at last year's event, we thought we'd do a recap. As we enter selection season, we want to leverage the talent and expertise of our chapters to brainstorm great ways to tap our members. As you all know, our section coordinators are fantastic supports to our chapters, providing ideas, troubleshooting issues, sending helpful reminders, and celebrating your successes. I have the privilege of working with 15 amazing section coordinators, 6 of whom you'll meet tonight. So I'd like to introduce the first 2 to give us a brief overview of tapping. Following their information, we'll break into regions where you'll share ideas from your chapter and learn from others. So please join me in welcoming Region 1 Section Coordinator Vedant Kulkarni from Kansas State University Chapter and Region 3 Section Coordinator Kaylee Weicker from the Ohio Northern University Chapter to share more about public tapping.
We know the pandemic was incredibly tough on our chapters. As a continued result of the pandemic, only 57% of our chapters tapped publicly last year. This makes sense, given that they were likely tapped virtually and don't have another reference point. We're looking to break that cycle and get the percentage of chapters tapping publicly over 80% this year. Mortar Board, at 106 years old, has many traditions, but few so special as tapping. Tapping dates back to the very first year as a national society, when Cornell brought their tradition of tapping new members in the middle of the night. Chapter members were dressed entirely in black, complete with hoods covering all but their eyes, and they surrounded a bed of a selected member. While that probably wouldn't be the best tradition today, the tradition of tapping evolved over the century with unique methods and meaningful traditions on each campus. Many chapters pass items, such as flowers or candles, to new members. Some chapters have current members still dressed in black. Most chapters still tap members in a public place among peers, such as classrooms, student organization meetings, sports practices, or other things like that. While other chapters send new members a message asking them to meet in a special on-campus meeting place for a tapping and orientation. Some of the most vivid memories our alumni members have of how they were tapped in the Mortar Board.
Tapping provides a great opportunity for chapter visibility. As you publicly recognize your selected members, not only are you acknowledging their amazing accomplishments, but you're also sharing Mortar Board with those around them. If you're tapping in a class of 25, that's 24 other students in the room learning about Mortar Board. Public tapping gives students something to aspire to join. As you move about campus tapping new members, whether it's in classroom, club meetings, a common area, you're diversifying the students exposed to Mortar Board. The more locations you tap in, the more students who get to learn about Mortar Board and be a witness to the accomplishments of your members. Tapping honorary members provides an opportunity for further campus visibility. Each chapter is allowed 3 honorary memberships each year. These can be faculty, staff, or administrators who support the chapter or live the ideals of Mortar Board, scholarship, leadership, and service. By tapping honorary members, you are sharing Mortar Board with other departments and offices on campus, which builds campus support for your chapter. As we mentioned, tapping can happen in a variety of ways. Some chapters tap in classroom, but be sure to ask professors' permission first. Some chapters tap outside the classroom in the hallways. We have chapters that tap during club meetings, sports practices, or campus events. Others may not be able to go into individual classrooms or meetings, and they choose to invite students to a public location on campus to tap them all as a group. Some wear jackets, some wear t-shirts, and others wear sports or academic regalia. However you choose to tap, just be sure to make it special for the new members.
After you've publicly tapped, it's a great idea if you can carry it over to social media. Some chapters run reels of the tapping experience, others list their members, and others provide photo collages and shout-outs. It's a great way to further celebrate your new members and give others who didn't see them publicly tap the opportunity to do so as well. Now, it's time to share what you do. Let's split into our breakout rooms. As Trish mentioned, we're going to use this time to talk about the tradition of tapping in our regions. We've created a room for each region. Please join your region for a great discussion on tapping. This is also an incredible opportunity to get to know other members, national leaders, and alumni. Please feel free to join the region for either your alma mater or the region where you currently live to join in on the fun. As we launch the breakout rooms, please select your region. If you're not sure, you can ask us in the chat. If you have any technical difficulties, a member of the national office will help you get into the room with your region. We'll spend about 10 to 12 minutes together sharing ideas for public tapping. Have a great discussion.
All right. Thank you again, Vedant and Kaylee, and thanks everyone for what were hopefully really engaging conversations around public tapping. And I hope you all were able to take away new ideas for this semester. Next, we'll move on to one of the most important components of our national society, the collegiate vote and collegiate voice. Two of our standing committees, governance and nominations, will present items up for vote. Voting for changes to the bylaws and voting for the election of National Council candidates will take place through the use of an online ballot at the close of tonight's special national conference. Official delegates will cast on behalf of their chapters. Each chapter eligible to vote may cast one vote, which again should be cast by your chapter's official delegate. If you are not sure if you are the chapter delegate, please vote anyway, and the volunteer tellers will authenticate the votes. Please be sure your chapter's voice is heard and cast your ballot. Certifying the ballots is an especially important job in which we would like to create a committee of tellers to help complete. Tellers are collegiate members who agree to review the ballots cast and report to the National Council. This will be done on a Zoom meeting under the advisement of Mortar Board Executive Director Kirsten Fox. If you are interested in being a teller, please acknowledge your interest in the chat. We request at least 4 volunteers to complete this important task. Interested members will receive an email next week with further instructions and a request for a meeting. Thank you for considering this. At this time, I yield the floor to Dr. Kirsten Hawley, Chair of the Standing Governance Committee, who will present tonight's Governance Committee report, including proposed changes to the bylaws. Dr. Hawley will be joined by other members of the Governance Committee.
This year, the Governance Committee received 4 recommendations for changes to the bylaws. The first proposed amendment to the bylaws of Mortar Board is to change section to region. The revisions will reflect the 2022 transition from 21 sections to 6 regions when the organization moved to a regional model within Mortar Board. Additionally, this change will include updating section coordinator language to region coordinators to be consistent with the use of regions in Mortar Board practice. For the second proposed amendment, I yield to committee member Myra Hansen.
Myra, you're on mute.
I clicked it and it didn't. I'm sorry. Thank you. Proposed Amendment 2. In Article 13, in reference to amendments of bylaws, it is proposed to change the date and add a second date for proposed bylaws updates to provide an opportunity for recommendations for changes to the bylaws and the chance for the bylaws to be amended at a meeting of the delegates 2 times per year. Currently, there is only one opportunity for members to submit proposed changes to the bylaws. This would create 2 opportunities annually. Additionally, the amendment would change the date or deadline for when recommendations must be received for consideration by the Governance Committee. Currently, the date is October 15 for amendments to be submitted for a subsequent vote of the delegates at the special national conference. The proposed amendment will revise the submission date to December 1 for consideration at the special national conference. This amendment would create the opportunity for submissions after December 1 and before June 1 to be considered for a vote by the delegates at the national conference in July. Please refer to the slides for the proposed change in language in Article 13. To present the third proposed amendment, I yield the floor to committee member Kara Stogsdill, current Illinois State University collegiate member.
Thank you, Myra. Our third proposed change to the bylaws is also around Article 13. This proposed amendment is to change the outcome of lack of a vote as it is currently stated. At present, the lack of a vote constitutes an affirmative vote according to our bylaws. The proposed change will make a lack of a vote to constitute an abstention and will align with Robert's Rules of Order, which are the governance procedures presently used by Mortar Board. The proposed new language, striking "the lack of a vote constitutes an affirmative vote," to be replaced with "the lack of a vote constitutes an abstention," can be found on the slide. At this time, I yield the floor to fellow committee member and Region 1 Section Coordinator, Brendan Wall.
Thank you, Kara. Our final proposed amendment of the bylaws is in reference to Article 4, Section 1.4, 1.7, 1.8, and 1.11. The proposed action is a change in term length for the Mortar Board's student representative at large from a 2-year term to a 1-year term. A 1-year term would be a better match for the traditional collegiate members. And instead of 2 representatives serving alternating 2-year terms, the proposed change will result in 2 elected Mortar Board student representatives at large annually at the National Conference, each serving a 1-year term. The current first-year student representative at large, Gabrielle, will be exempt from this change and will still serve her full 2-year term. During the 2024 and 2025 year, there will be 3 student representatives at large. The proposed new language and sections impacted can be found on this slide. I'd like to yield the floor back to Dr. Kirsten Hawley.
Thank you to the Governance Committee, Myra Hansen, Brendan Wall, Kara Stogskill, and Michaela Johnson. Delegates, please remember to vote once the ballot opens at the close of today's meeting. Upon verification and authentication of the vote, we will keep the delegates posted of changes as there could be implications for the summer's annual conference. In addition, as we look to elevate the student voice, we will be looking for new collegiate members to serve on the Standing Governance Committee. If you are interested in being considered, please notify the National Office by email at mortarboard@mortarboard.org.
Thank you to Dr. Hawley and the Governance Committee. I now call on our Standing Nominations Committee Chair and immediate past president, Katie Chick, to place into nomination the slate for National Council offices.
Thank you so much, Cass. Hello, everyone. In the Guide to Governance, you can see that the Standing Nominations Committee has been quite busy this year. Our committee is charged with creating a slate of candidates for open positions on the National Council in advance of each special national conference. This year's committee did a fantastic job recruiting and selecting the candidates you will meet in just a few moments. Before you meet the candidates, I wanted to thank the members of this year's committee, past President Dan Turner, past National Council member Jenny Birch-Lewinsky, and longstanding Nominations Committee member Lynn Hendrickson. Mortar Board is fortunate that each of you shared your time and talents across the past several months, vetting and discussing the distinguished alum who expressed interest in this year's open positions. I'm pleased to enter 3 extremely talented leaders into nominations for a 2-year term on the National Council beginning this July on behalf of the nominating committee. Vice President Dr. Patience Whitworth, initiated at The Ohio State University. Secretary Katie Verschelden, initiated at Kansas State University. And Alumni Representative at Large, Leslie Ellis, initiated at Lenoir Rhine University. Each candidate will be introduced by a member of our committee and will provide brief remarks about their interest in serving in the National Council. Each statement will be followed by the opportunity for you to ask questions. You can learn more about them in your Guide to Governance on pages 8 and 9. And at this time, I will ask Standing Nominations Committee member Lynn Hendrickson to introduce our first candidate.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Katie. Our first candidate is Dr. Patience Whitworth, slated for a 2nd term as Vice President. As you can see here on the slide and in the Guide to Governance, Patience's history with Mortar Board leadership is substantial, most recently serving her 1st term as Vice President. The Vice President term is 2 years with the opportunity to run a 2nd term. At this time, I invite Patience to provide brief remarks regarding her interest in the position.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Katie. I'm excited and honored for this nomination and looking forward to a second term if I am elected by the active members. I know that the active members of Mortar Board will all agree that working with the region coordinators of Mortar Board is an absolute joy. And as Vice President, my primary role is to support them and the work that they're doing. The region coordinators are a dedicated group of volunteers who help elevate the voices and the experiences of our active students members. And as a student-run honorary, I think we can all say that that is a very serious and important role in our organization. And I'll just say while I'm off mute that if you want to think about being a region coordinator in the future, I hope that you'll talk to your current region coordinator to ask them more about their role.
Thank you so much, Patience. I'd like to open the floor to any questions for Patience. You can put your question in the chat or raise your hand and we'll call on you. In the meantime, while we wait for some responses or input, I'd love to hear from you, Patience, about what you're most proud of from your first term.
I think we just have a really dedicated group of region coordinators at this time. Oh, I guess I should call them section coordinators until the next bylaw changes that have happened. And I think that's really great and really supportive of our active chapters. I think the move to the region model in particular has been really important. My predecessor sort of started the move. I think Tricia and I and others have been able to kind of grow the model a little bit better. And so very proud of that.
Great. And as a natural follow-up, what are you most excited about for your second term?
I think to continue to grow the regions. I think we have a lot of ability to create contact with our active chapters and most importantly, I think have the active chapters have connections to one another. I think that's a huge benefit of Mortar Board and something I know that we'll work to further.
Great. And we do have a question here about how would you work to build regional affinity within the 6 regions?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's where the great region coordinators are there to do, is having region meetings with good resources, get chapters talking to one another. I know in other places where there's chapters that are clustered together in close locations, they've also had in-person meetings and gatherings or service projects across chapters. So hopefully we'll continue to build on those traditions.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you, Patience. And with that, I yield the floor to Jenny Birch-Zawinski.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Our second candidate, Katie Vershelden, is slated for secretary. Katie is a charter member of the Mortar Board Alumni Association, a National Foundation Fund founder, and past section coordinator. You can read more about Katie on the slide and in the National Guide to Governance. At this time, I would like Katie to present her 2-minute speech to share her interest in the role of secretary.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm very happy and honored to be here. In my normal day-to-day life, I am an in-house corporate attorney. And so corporate governance is something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so serving as a National Council secretary is right in my wheelhouse. And I think I could leverage those skills in the corporate world and help out a nonprofit that's near and dear to my heart. Mortar Board has provided me with wonderful relationships over the years, and I'm excited to kind of get back to Mortar Board and the ideals and to help and give back however I can.
Thank you, Katie. I would now like to open the floor to any questions. Please put them in the chat or raise your hand so we can call on you. All right, our first question. With such a busy job, how will you stay motivated in this role?
I think it's easier to stay motivated when it's something you really believe in and is important to you. And Mortar Board has been near and dear to my heart for a long time. And it also helps that I have friends who are still involved with national leadership. So when you know you're going to see your friends, it's much easier to show up to that meeting.
Absolutely. Are there any areas of opportunity that you see for the society in the next year during your future tenure?
I feel like, especially as we've heard some of the delegates here at the special conference talk about, like, COVID has definitely had an impact within their chapters and on their campuses. And so I still feel like Mortar Board's kind of in a transition, like finding its footing again after the COVID years. And so so I'm hoping to kind of help Mortar Board bridge that gap, both and kind of more specifically at like the national leadership level, getting everyone on the same page and being strategically focused, and not just from year to year, but longer term.
Great. And we have another question from the chat. What's one piece of advice you'd give to the collegiate members on today's call?
I would say to all the seniors to enjoy your last semester. If you're a junior, you have still so much to look forward to. And I hope you lean in. I know it's busy times, but you lean into Mortar Board. At least at my chapter, it was a diverse group from all over campus, and there's people I'm still friends with. So hope you have the same experience that I do.
Okay, and time for one last question. Most chapters also have a secretary and exec board. How would you inspire them as a role model?
I think I lead by example, and so I think it's being responsive to the people I'm working with, trying to look 2 steps ahead, and stay on top of issues.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Katie. I now yield the floor to Dan Turner.
Hi, everyone. Let's continue with our final candidate for election. I'm pleased to introduce Leslie Ellis, who is slated for the position of Alumni Representative at Large. This position is a 2-year term and eligible for re-election. Leslie is a former section coordinator and chaired the branding committee as part of the strategic planning process. More information about Leslie can be found on the slide and in the guide to governance. At this time, I'd like to give Leslie her 2-minute speech, sharing her interest in this important role. Leslie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Ellis. Earlier today, I was reflecting on my time as a collegiate member and chapter president of the Arctos chapter at Lenoir-Rhyne University. As a senior in college, I really had no idea how this organization and its ideals would be so interwoven into my personal and professional life for the years to come. The alumni representative position sparks joy for me because Mortar Board is not a one-and-done membership during your collegiate years. It's a lifelong society that will continue to provide opportunities, to challenge you, and to connect you with other leaders across the country. As I look at my screen, I see the faces of so many people that I admire and respect. And I see mentors, I see friends, I see my own former section coordinator, Nathan Cordell, on the call, people that I truly have enjoyed getting to know over the years. I also see faces of collegiate members who are doing incredible work among their respective campuses. As the alumni representative, I will continue to build relationships with members, to be a sounding board for ideas, and to be an advocate for the society. I want our members to know that the National Council is approachable and it's not a secluded group of people with fancy titles. I'm eager to give back to the organization that has given so much to me, and I hope I can pay it forward in the same way to all of you. Thank you.
All right, I'd now like to open the floor to any questions for Leslie. Please put questions in the chat or raise your hand and we will call on you. So to start off with, what suggestions do you have for chapters to better connect with alumni when everyone's so busy?
Yeah, so this was something that my chapter had to do during my time at Lenoir-Rhyne. And, you know, really just starting with the people on your campus, working with the registrar's office, the Office of Alumni Engagement, the Dean's office, are all great resources who want to help you. So don't be afraid to make connections on campus. They're often looking to accomplish some of the same goals. So working together is a great place to start.
Any other questions for Leslie? All right, one more here. With your experience in branding, how do chapters gain visibility? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, that's a great question and something that, I think a lot of chapters have done really well in recent years, especially as social media is evolving, connecting with people where they're at, being on a college campus, people are on their phones, and even beyond a college campus, young alumni, older alumni, we're on our phones, we're connected. It's easy to connect with people across the country, even if they aren't geographically located where your college is. So starting on social media is a great place.
Perfect. Next question here. And Nathan mentions that he's very proud of you, by the way. But how will your experience in mortarboard influence your role on the National Council?
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot of things along the way. I've had the opportunity to be involved in a variety of roles, as you see on the screen, but I think through that, I've been challenged, and I like a challenge, and I think this role specifically will be a challenge for me, stepping into something that, I don't have a background in, connecting alumni regionally, geographically. So I'm excited for that next challenge. And I think a lot of the lessons I've learned along the way will help me grow in that area.
And Leslie, last question. Why should collegiate members today become involved in mortarboard as an alum?
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me, and this might be kind of a biased answer, but the connections and relationships that you make will really carry with you throughout your life. I've had the opportunity not only just to build friendships throughout the organization, but to interact with alumni who have helped me in my career. One of those that stands out to me, just by sending a simple email to Joni Comstock, Comstock, excuse me, who works with the NCAA. She recently retired, but I work in collegiate athletics. So getting to know her and having that mortarboard connection kind of bridged the gap of just starting that conversation. So knowing that there's people around the country who are your cheerleaders and who are there for you because of that mortarboard connection is impactful. So those relationships is key.
Thank you, Leslie. I now yield the floor back to Katie Chick.
Thank you so much once again to all three candidates. Having worked with each of you in various roles across my nearly 20 years of mortarboard experience, I could not be more excited about the experience, the excitement, and the energy that you can each bring to our National Council. Now to the delegation, voting for the candidates will begin before the end of tonight's conference and will continue through Wednesday, January 31st. An online link will be shared in the chat and again via email following tonight's special national conference. Each chapter eligible to vote may cast one vote for each candidate. And please remember to cast your vote and make your chapter's voice heard on all matters that we've discussed this evening. Also, if this part of the meeting has inspired any of you to join our standing nominations committee, we will be back in action later this spring as we prepare for this summer's national conference and our student representative election. We would love for collegiate voices to be represented in this important process, so reach out if you are interested. And now I'll yield the floor back to you, Cass.
Thank you. And a huge thank you to you, Katie, and the entire nominations committee, and especially to these candidates for their dedication and commitment to serve mortarboard for their term. So it's now time for our group photo. So we're going to ask that everyone please turn on your cameras and get ready as I introduce our photographer. So Julia Charf is the social media and digital content creator at Mortarboard. She's the one behind Mortarboard's social media accounts and social graphic designs. Welcome, Julia.
Thanks, Cass. It's great to see all of your faces. So I would like to ask everybody to turn on your cameras so we can get, a very nice photo with everyone here. Wow, this is great. All right. So I'm going to count to 3 a few times, so just smile when I say 3 every time. All right, first picture. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And finally, 1, 2, 3. Wow, these pictures look really great. So I'd like to yield the floor back to Trish Maxwell.
Thanks, Julia. Okay, so continuing along with our theme. We good? Okay. Continuing along with our theme, another great way to promote chapter visibility on campus and to get your name out there is through campus recognition programs. After reading your annual reports and chapter action plans, and yes, we do actually read them, it's clear that many of our chapters hold recognition programs. These may be faculty staff appreciation awards or initiatives, undergraduate student awards, or recognition in the form of student scholarships. So I'd like to invite two more section coordinators to give a brief overview of campus recognition programs. Similar to before, following their information, we'll break into regions where you can share ideas that you have from your chapter and learn from others. So I'd like to welcome both of our section coordinators from Region 2, Jackie Huff from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee chapter, and Annie Massia from the University of South Alabama chapter to share more about campus recognition programs and events.
Thank you, Trish. So many chapters have some form of campus recognition program. While they vary in focus and execution, one thing remains constant. They look to celebrate faculty, staff, administration, and other students on campus who demonstrate Mortarboard's ideals and make the campus community a better place. Programs range from formal banquets with awards to of the month campaigns for departments and faculty members to lists of top students on campus. United under the common theme of recognizing excellence, each campus designs programs unique to their institution. And while some of these programs take a lot of effort to plan and execute, others are easier implemented and are a great start for chapters who have not done recognition programs before.
Keeping with the Special National Conferences theme, campus recognition programs offer a great opportunity for additional chapter visibility. By implementing these programs, you are increasing your presence of Mortarboard across campuses. Chapters have found new advisors from faculty members recognized at an awards ceremony, and they've recruited new members from their top 10 lists. Honorary memberships provide a unique opportunity for recognition. By their nature, honorary memberships are bestowed to members of the campus community who demonstrate a commitment to scholarship, leadership, and service. They support the Mortarboard chapter, whether directly or indirectly, regardless of their position on campus. Awarding honorary memberships from across campus is a great way to recognize individuals for their campus contributions and expand Mortarboard's visibility. So as your institution gets new provosts or deans or directors, consider them for honorary memberships. Many of our chapters hold some type of faculty and staff awards. We see formal top prof banquets, apple polishing awards, professor of the month, and more. Mortarboards nominate their best faculty and staff member for these awards. Often they include a written explanation of why they are being recognized, so the honoree can take that with them and remember Mortarboard. Faculty and staff members who are honored at these awards are more likely to allow Mortarboard to take a few minutes before their class to tap one of their new members because they know about Mortarboard and appreciate its value. We've also seen faculty and staff recognition programs done through a thank you note campaign. This is a great idea that can be implemented during a chapter meeting as well. In addition to faculty and staff recognition, some of our chapters run student recognition campaigns as well. These efforts are usually targeted toward freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Some chapters do top 10 lists, some award scholarships, and others host dessert receptions for students who exemplify Mortarboard's ideals. Regardless of the tactic, these student recognition programs not only help make Mortarboard more visible on campus, but also create a pipeline for future Mortarboard members.
We've mentioned several ideas, and you can see a few of these on the screen as well. Another great campus recognition program is a Last Lecture series. Last Lectures invite faculty and staff from across campus to host a lecture on a topic interesting to them. Not only does this program provide great chapter visibility for Mortarboard, but it also recognizes the faculty speaker for their expertise. We appreciate the chapters that are holding faculty, staff, and student recognition events. They are great ways to appreciate their campus community, get Mortarboard noticed by others, and find future collegiate or honorary members. In particular, student recognition events help create chapter sustainability by spreading chapter visibility and identifying future candidates for Mortar Board. If your chapter holds these types of initiatives, we hope you share them in your regions to inspire others. If your chapter doesn't, look for ideas you think might fit well on your campus. Campus recognition programs are becoming a key part of Mortar Board's signature experience. We'd love to see more chapters increase these initiatives. Now, let us split into our breakout rooms again, find your region, and join to share what you do and learn from others. Y'all know what to do.
All right, I think we have everybody joining us back. So thank you, Annie and Jackie. I hope everyone had a great time engaging with your region. I'm proud of the events that our chapters have held on campus that honored others. And I appreciate the time you all spend planning and executing recognition programs. At this time, I would like to yield the floor back to our Executive Director, Kirsten Fox, and our Director of Collegiate Success, Trish Maxwell, to share more about national programming updates and what to expect this spring.
Thank you, Cass. Well, tonight's special national conference is officially a business meeting. Mortar Board Week is a celebration. As you know, Mortar Board was founded on February 15th, 1918, 106 years ago. Oops. Sorry. As you know, as I was saying, Mortar Board was founded 106 years ago on February 15th, 1918. We cannot wait to hear what some of our chapters are doing to celebrate. Please be sure to tag at Mortar_board in any of your posts, and we may share your pictures as the week wraps up, and who knows, it may hit our chapter news for our next forum edition as well. And I encourage you to use the chat tonight to let us know of any plans in the works. You can see the week's agenda here on our slideshow and learn more about all of the events on our website as they get finalized. I encourage you to attend the events and invite your chapters. A few of the highlights include a chapter operations session on initiations, a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging chairs open meeting to discuss all of our chapters and how you are advancing DEI efforts on your campuses. We will officially launch our career connections. We have a donor and volunteer appreciation event. We will launch Mortar Board's affinity groups. We have a few social media campaigns with chances to win some really great Mortar Board merch. And we'll have the opportunity for our Mortar Board advisors to meet with national leaders. Spring term also means it's the most wonderful time of the year because it's recruitment and selection season. I truly love recruitment and selection season. Please use an emoji or put in the chat if your chapter has already started this process. Congratulations to Agnes Scott College, who was our first chapter to have submitted their candidate request for the year. We have also heard from Longwood University, Purdue University, Ohio Northern University, and Wichita State University, as you've already submitted your candidates. Great work, and we can't wait to see all the great candidates at all of our chapters that you're recruiting and selecting this season.
In addition to Mortar Board Week and supporting recruitment and selection, I'd like to share a few different programs that we've planned for this spring. You'll see the session dates, times, and titles on the slide, and they're also listed on our events page of the Mortar Board website. So last year we hosted a variety of chapter operations sessions around recruitment and selection. So this year we've expanded our offerings and we're hosting recruitment and selection, and also initiation tips and tricks, chapter visibility, officer transition, and how to wrap up your Mortar Board year. So what to do at the end of the semester. We know you don't have a lot of time, so these sessions are designed to be brief. There'll be 20 minutes of content paired with about 10 minutes of sharing ideas and asking questions. So we hope to see you or some of your fellow officers there. Advisors are also welcome. During your selection and initiation process, most of you probably attended an on-campus orientation or information session where you learned about Mortar Board. We know that our chapters host these for their new members, and we also host bi-weekly info sessions virtually for chapters who don't have the capacity to host an in-person orientation, or for students who may have missed your chapter's orientation. So feel free to advertise any of these dates to your new members. Last year, we held 2 national virtual initiations in the spring, and over 18 chapters utilized this opportunity. So the virtual ceremony is offered for chapters who might need a little extra help putting on initiation, and we'll be offering it again this spring. It's a good opportunity for our smaller chapters who don't have the capacity to put on initiation to still participate in something really special. So we'll be hosting 2 this semester. The dates will be Sunday, April 14th and Sunday, May 19th. If you have any questions or if you want your chapter to participate, let me know. To discuss Mortar Board's fellowships and awards, I would like to turn it over to our last section coordinator featured tonight, Katie Sisilski from Kansas State University chapter. And she's not only a section coordinator in Region 5, but a 2022 Mortar Board Fellowship winner as well. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Trish. Each year, the Mortar Board Foundation provides over $30,000 in fellowships to mortar boards who will attend graduate school in the next academic year. As a law student at UNLV, I'm very grateful for the financial recognition. Fellowship applications are currently available on the Mortar Board website, and they close on March 15th. You do not have to know where you are attending at this point in the process to submit your application. In addition, it's also award season. Mortar Board chapter award submissions are due on May 15th. In addition to the Gold and Silver Torch Awards, Mortar Board recognizes chapter excellence in programming, DEI&B, and advising. Each year, one chapter is awarded the Freeman and Fox Most Improved Chapter Award, and one receives the Ruth Weimer Mount Outstanding Chapter Award. Additionally, each year, 2 outstanding individuals are awarded the Starlington Prize. These students receive a $500 award and free conference registration to next annual conference. Students nominate your advisors, advisors nominate your students, and I hope to see all chapters submit for chapter recognition.
Thank you, Katie. So again, if you haven't marked your calendars yet, remember the fellowship deadline of March 15th and the collegiate awards deadline of May 15th. And it's great to see some previous winners of both awards and fellowships. In addition to Katie, we have some other fellowship recipients, Annie Maskia, Brendan Wall, Cass Lucas, and probably some others on the call as well. A couple of our past Starlington winners, Tamika Lovelace, Vedant Kulkarni. So I know there's a lot of other award winners. So definitely it's great to submit those, and all of your hard work and can be recognized as it should be. Speaking of celebration, graduation is coming up for many of you. We can help you with your graduation regalia needs. Our Mortar Board store offers stoles, cords, and medallions for graduation. We also have diploma frames. That's a great thing for like parents or your aunt or somebody else to potentially purchase for you. You can find the link to our store on the Guide to Governance, and we will again be offering bulk discounts for our chapters as well. So stay on the lookout for that. Although Mortar Board is a senior year honor society, membership extends beyond your senior year with opportunities for long-time engagement. As graduating seniors, you'll soon meet and hear quite a bit from our amazing Director of Outreach and Engagement, Kara Lisenby. She's been chatting all night. She really spends her time focusing on our alumni experience, and she will help transition you from collegiate to alumni member. You will have the opportunity to take advantage of the Mortar Board Alumni Association. Opportunities for continued involvement include partner benefits, programming, access to other high-achieving members, and so much more. The members of the Mortar Board Alumni Association hear our news first with special communications, including volunteer and service opportunities, special events like book clubs and socials, and so much more. Also, we provide a free MBAA membership to all of our section coordinators. So another great opportunity to apply to be a section coordinator in the future. Anyway, I invite all of you to join us by signing up for the MBAA from the alumni page on our website. And last, but certainly not least, one of the things I'm most excited to talk about is we will again be in person for the Mortar Board National Conference this summer in 2024. The conference will be held July 25th through July 28th in Columbus, Ohio. In addition to being the home of our national office, Columbus was selected because of its central location and accessible airport. Given 44% of our chapters are within driving distance, right? 44% are within driving distance, and the Columbus airport hosts all major airlines. We look forward to seeing all of our chapters at the conference this summer. Registration, along with information on chapter support grants for financial assistance with conference, will be released later this spring.
As mentioned, Mortar Board provides scholarship, leadership, and service opportunities beyond your collegiate years. So we have 2 national leadership opportunities for graduating members that we'd like to briefly share. First, we're accepting applications for the Conference Advisory Board. So for those of you who attended the virtual conference this summer, you got to know Tamika and Julia and Caitlin. The Conference Advisory Board applications for the 2024 annual conference in Columbus they're now open. It's a great opportunity to be a national leader among your peers and to enhance the conference experience. Deadline to apply is March 15th. We soon will be recruiting for the section coordinator position or region coordinator position, depending on how you vote. You all have had the chance to meet your section coordinators and to understand what they do, and we're excited to enhance and grow the team that works closest with our chapters. So it's a great opportunity to stay involved in Mortar Board through an additional national leadership role. Section coordinators guide the chapters and help set the direction for the future of our society. Section coordinator application will open in mid-March, but you can indicate your initial interest on the form in chat, along with any other national leadership positions or committees you find interesting. So if you have any questions, reach out to me or your section coordinators.
I know this was a lot of information in a very short period of time. Don't worry, today is not the only time you'll get to hear everything. You get our emails and it'll be on the website, and follow us on social media. And obviously your section coordinators and others will continue to share that information as well. We know that spring is a really busy time, but please know your section coordinators, other national leadership, our entire national office team is here to support you in all of your endeavors this spring. And of course, your biggest supporter of all is your national president, Dr. Cassandra Lucas. And it is my pleasure to invite her back to the Zoom to provide tonight's final charge.
Thank you, Kirsten. It is my honor to serve as national president and to be your biggest supporter. So I want to thank you for your participation in tonight's special national conference. And will you please join me in a round of applause and kudos in the chat for our governance and nominating committees, our section coordinators, our candidates, and our national office who have facilitated such an effective and informational evening. Thank you, everyone, for everything that you've done. Special National Conference is one of my favorite events as we focus on the business of governing while also having the opportunity to come together with representatives from the whole of our society, collegiate members, alumni, advisors, and national leadership. Tonight, we also spent time talking about tapping and recognition programs, 2 great ways to write your chapter's history, serve your alma mater, increase Mortar Board's visibility on your campus, and continue your legacy. One of my favorite quotes from Simon Sinek, who writes and speaks on leadership, is, "A leader's legacy is only as strong as the foundation they leave behind that allows others to continue to advance the organization in their name." We Mortar Boards are in the unique position of leaving behind a foundation every year for the next chapter. By creating a tapping environment where you welcome in new members proudly and publicly, you share our ideals of scholarship, leadership, and service alongside our equity purpose throughout your campus, encouraging others to strive to become a Mortar Board and passing the torch to the next chapter. As Trish Maxwell indicated earlier, Mortar Boards remember where and how they were tapped, and I am no exception. I'm always proud to share the story of how my friend, Jenny Birch-Zawinski, who you heard from earlier tonight, tapped me into Mortar Board at the Purdue Student Government Office and thus patched her legacy to me to carry on. Boiler up. In recognizing the outstanding professors, staff, administration, and students on your campus, you also build the foundation for your chapter. As discussed tonight, these programs offer the opportunity to celebrate excellence at your alma mater, increase your chapter's presence on campus, and identify future collegiate and honorary members. By building a pipeline and thanking those who serve your institution, you advance Mortarboard's goals and help us create and celebrate our history. As many of you may remember, I spoke of standing on shoulders at last year's national conference. All of us stand on shoulders, the shoulders of activists who fought for the advancement of women and equity, inclusion, and belonging for all peoples, our family and our friends, our mentors, our cheerleaders, and our role models. You also stand on the shoulders of the chapter that came before you. These shoulders act as your Mortarboard foundation to build your legacy, both at your campus and as alumni in our society. I recognize that winter, spring is a busy time for all of you. For those graduating, you're applying for graduate and professional schools, looking for jobs, and are thinking about the next logistical details of your next phase. For those continuing on campus, you may be already thinking about thesis projects, internships, and your own steps for next year. But there is still much foundational work for you to do for you and your chapter, and it is also your turn to be shoulders to stand on. I encourage you to celebrate Mortarboard Week, enjoy recruiting, selecting, and initiating the next chapter, and congratulations to those chapters who have already selected. And most importantly, and as you've heard from others tonight, have fun with your fellow chapter members over the next few months. This is your chance to strengthen your chapter's foundation and hand it off to the next chapter to advance our ideals, purpose, and goals. So before I move on to the last piece of business for the evening, I charge you with the following. Build a strong Mortarboard foundation on your campus. Pass on that foundation to the next chapter as part of your legacy. And expand on both of these as you embark on your Mortarboard journey as an engaged alumni member. Thank you again for sharing your collegiate voice during our special national conference, and best wishes for the great rest of your year. Now back to our final piece of business. Before I officially adjourn today's meeting, please note that voting is now officially open and will remain open until Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Founded by students for students. 106 years later, we are still a student-governed society. The collegiate voice and vote matters. Each chapter eligible to vote may cast one vote. The highest officer attending from your chapter will be considered the official delegate. If you are not sure who the official delegate is for your chapter, you are encouraged to still vote. The volunteer tellers will authenticate the votes. Please note the link in the chat or the QR code on the slides. And start voting. Thank you for joining us today. I now officially adjourn the 2024 Special National Conference.